This tutorial is a beginner's guide to essential movie shot types. That's the different types of shots that you can use for your movie projects. Understanding shot types is one of the most important foundations of filmmaking. Each shot controls what the audience sees, how they feel, and how the story unfolds visually. Okay, a good filmmaker deliberately chooses shot sizes to control emotion, focus, story clarity, and cinematic rhythm. Now, without further ado, let's break down the most essential shot types. Okay, we'll start with the establishing shots. An establishing shot is usually a wide shot that introduces the location where the scene takes place. It helps the audience understand where the story is happening before characters begin interacting. It often appears at the beginning of a scene or sequence. Now, examples include the exterior of a city, okay, the exterior of a compound, a house before we enter it, a school before the classroom scene begins. These are examples of an establishing shot. Okay, now it is used to orient the audience or to show location and environment. Also used to set the tone or the mood of the scene. Then it's also used to transition between scenes. Okay, now you can create multiple establishing shots. You can create one establishing shot and then to another establishing shot before you go into the movie scene. Okay, now this establishing shot is usually at the beginning of a scene. Most times it's at the beginning of the scene or the beginning of the movie, or when you are transitioning to a new location. Now, movie directors usually use wide lenses for the establishing shots. They use drone shots as well. Sometimes you see the shot, it's like it's taken from an upward position facing down. That's the drone shots. Then there are static wide compositions as well. It normally contains little or no character in focus. In fact, in your establishing shots, it's the environment that is your main subject. That is what you are focusing on, the environment, not the character. Okay, so most times in your establishing shot, there may be no characters in it. The focus is on the environment itself. Okay, now here is a prompt that I used to create this establishing shot. It says create a cinematic establishing shot of a busy Lagos street at sunrise. Wide aerial view showing traffic, street vendors, yellow downfall buses, and tall buildings in the distance. Warm morning light, cinematic lighting, realistic movie scene, 35mm film look, ultra detailed, dramatic atmosphere. This is the prompt that I used to generate this establishing shot. Okay, so that's for the establishing shot. Now we move on to the master shots. A master shot captures the entire scene from beginning to end in one continuous shot. Okay, it usually includes all characters and the entire action happening in the scene. It acts as the foundation of the scene during the editing. Now, even if other shots fails, even if you make mistake in other shots, the master shot can still tell the story. It's just that we are adding other shots to it to make it feel more cinematic. But without other shots, you can actually tell the story with the master shots. Okay. Now, where is it used? It's used to capture the full scene coverage. Okay, it gives the editors a safety shot. Then it shows character blocking and the movements. It's typically filmed at the beginning of shooting a scene. Also, and before coverage shots, that's before those your medium shots, your close-up shots, and your extreme close-up, you do the master shots. Okay, now directors usually stage the actors carefully for this shot. The camera is often static. Most of the times the camera is static, or sometimes it does a dolly or a pan, slow moving, either moving in, moving out, gradual, slow, subtle movement. It shows all the actors interacting in the scene. Now, here is a prompt that I used to achieve a master shot. A cinematic master shot of a tense conversation between two characters sitting around a dining table inside a dimly lit Lagos apartment. The entire room is visible. Both characters are in the frame interacting. Dramatic lighting, cinematic composition, realistic movie scene. Okay? Now that's for the master shot. Moving on to the full shot. A full shot shows a character's entire body from head to toe. Unlike a master shot, it focuses primarily on one character rather than the entire scene. The character becomes the visual subject. Now, it is used usually to show body language. It's used to show the character movement. And then it's also used to emphasize posture or physical action. Now, it's used usually in walking scenes. The character is walking. You see a full shot from head to toe. It's also used in action scenes, and then it's used in character introductions. You want to introduce a new character, you use the whole full body. Okay. Now, the camera usually frames from the head to the feet in a full shot. The character fills most of the frame while still showing some of the environment. Okay, and a prompt that we can use to achieve a full shot will be cinematic full body shot of a young Nigerian man standing in a Lagos street at night, visible from head to toe. Dramatic street lighting, emotional expression, cinematic atmosphere, realistic movie. Okay, this is the prompt. I will make all the prompts available. All the sample prompt for all these different types of shots, I'll make it available. So just when you watch this, request for the prompt, I'll make it available to you. Now, you might want to ask, what is the difference between the master shot and the full shots? Okay, so this is a very common confusion that beginners tend to encounter or experience. For the master shot, the purpose of the master shot is to capture the entire scene. Here, usually it captures multiple characters and full action of the scene. Then it's used as an editing coverage. For example, 3 people are arguing in a living room. This is quite different from the full shot, where the focus is just on one character. It frames a single character's body. One character is in focus. It shows that one character's body language, and it's not meant to capture the whole scene, just to focus on that one character. So you see why the master shot could actually show the entire scene. The full shot also shows the entire scene, but the master shot is focusing on everything happening, all the actions in the scene, while the full shot is focusing on just one character, the character we are focusing on. I think that kind of clarifies the difference between the master shots and the full shots. Now, the example of one example of a full shot is one character standing and reacting. Simple way to remember: the master shot shows entire scene, full shot shows entire character. I think that kind of makes it easy to remember. Okay, now we move on. Moving on to the medium shots. A medium shot frames a character from the waist up. Okay, from the waist up. This is one of the most commonly used shots in the movies. It balances facial emotion and body language. At least it shows some parts of the body, and then you can also make out the face. Unlike in a full shot, where the face is almost, or the facial expression is almost not very visible because you are trying to capture the entire body. But then you are zooming in closely now in a medium shot, framing from the waist up. Now, it's used to show dialogue clearly. Then it's also used to capture subtle emotions and then maintain visual intimacy without losing the context. Now, it's used during conversations. That's why I always say it, in all your dialogue scenes, you must use the medium shot. In fact, I like using the medium shot as my master shot in those dialogue scenes so that you can easily frame those other shots from here and you get it almost perfectly. Okay, it's used during conversations, it's used during the dialogue scenes, it's used during interviews. Okay, in this shot, the camera frames from the waist to the head, and then the background remains visible, but it's kind of, dominant. The focus is actually on the character, framing from the waist to the head. The prompts that are used to achieve this medium shots: a cinematic medium shot of a young Nigerian woman sitting in a small Lagos apartment, framed from waist up, emotional expression, soft window lighting, cinematic depth of field, and realistic film still. Now, let me quickly say something about this depth of field. For those of us who have no idea about filmmaking, if you hear depth of field, it's talking about a character in focus, and then every other thing not in focus is kind of blurred. If you look at some photos or some movies, the person in focus is sharp, while the person on the background, or why whatever it is on the background, is kind of blurred. So that's the depth of field. If you don't want it to be very pronounced, you make it a little mild or a little shallow. Okay, you hear depth of field, you hear shallow depth of field. So that's the depth of field. Focus on the character and make every other thing blur out. Moving on to the close-up shots. Okay, close-up. A close-up focuses tightly on the character's face. The character's face is designed to capture raw emotion and facial expressions. This is one of the most powerful storytelling shots because it's used to highlight emotions, reactions, and psychological tensions. Now, it's used during emotional moments when the character is having an emotional, reaction to what is being said or what is being done. Then it's used during dramatic reveals, and then also for character realizations. The character is just getting a rema, or they are just realizing something. We use a close-up shot for this. It shows it shows from the chin to the top of the head. Chin, I think chin is from under just from the neck. Let me just use the neck, from the neck up. Okay, then the background is usually blurred in this kind of shots. Now, the prompt that I use is a cinematic close-up shot of a Nigerian man's face, showing deep emotion, tension, dramatic lighting, shallow depth of field. The background is blurred, dramatic movie, ultra realistic. Okay, now moving on to the extreme close-up shots. This extreme close-up shot isolates a very small detail of the character's face. Sometimes it's the character's eyes or the lips. Maybe they are saying something and you just zoom in to the lips. You just see the lips just occupy the entire screen. I think it's macro shots. I usually used to confuse these shots for the close-up shots. Now, or it could be the tears that is just dropping from the eyes. You just zoom in on those tears, or it could be on the hands, or a weapon that is being holstered, or a key turning in the lock. You could actually use an extreme close-up to capture this. It's used to create tension. So when you are trying to create tension, an extreme close-up is what you use, or to focus on an important detail. Or to increase suspense is when you use an extreme close-up. It's used in thrillers, it's used in crime films, and it's used in suspense scenes. It's used in thrillers, crime films, and suspense scenes. Now, the frame fills with a very small portion of the subject. You use a small portion of the subject to fill the entire frame. Maybe the character's eyes or nose or lips or whatever. Now, a prompt that you can use to achieve this is extreme close-up cinematic shots of a single tear rolling down a woman's eye, dramatic lighting, ultra detailed skin texture, shallow depth of field, emotional cinematic movie still. Now, moving on to the next shot, which is the over-the-shoulder shots. over the shoulder shots, or
I know this is
popularly
difficult, but I need you to
acronym
listen.
as
We can walk through this
OTS.
calmly
So
together.
once you hear OTS, or you hear me referring to OTS, know that it's over the shoulder shot. And over the shoulder shot frames one character from behind the shoulder of another character. The shoulder appears blurred in the foreground. This shot is extremely common in dialogue scenes. Someone is talking, and then we are trying to focus on that person talking from the other person's point of view, or from behind the person. It's used to show who is speaking, to establish conversation perspectives, and to create a visual connection between the two characters. Okay, you see them maintaining eye contact, and it's showing. Then it's used mostly during conversations, interrogations, and during arguments. Camera placement, we place the camera behind character A, looking towards character B. Okay, now a prompt that you can use to achieve this is cinematic over the shoulder shot of two characters having a tense conversation in a dim Lagos apartment. One character seen from behind the shoulder in foreground, the other character facing camera. Dramatic lighting, cinematic realism. Then we'll move on to the insert shot. I'm going to stop at this insert shots for these different types of shots. There are more, but I'll stop at the insert shots. An insert shot is a close-up of an important object within the scene. If you watch my movie What the Heart Wants, while the guy was on the date, or he was waiting for the lady, and the lady did not show up, or no, while he was heartbroken, he was drinking that bottle of Jameson, his phone was ringing, and then the camera kind of zoomed in on the phone. It was just the phone that was in the entire frame. So that's an insert shot. Can focus on something in the scene. Sometimes it's a phone message, sometimes it's a gun on the table. My own was a phone on the table, that scene. Sometimes it could be a wedding ring. At other times, it could be a letter. It could be anything that is not a character, just something of something that you want to point attention to in the scene. Okay, it's used to emphasize an important object. It's used to reveal the story clues. Used to reveal clues, and it's also used to add narrative detail. Okay. Now, it's used during mystery scenes, it's used during crime stories, and then it's used for plot reveals. Okay, and then it's the object fills the frame and becomes the focus. That's the object that you're trying to do the insight on. Okay, a prompt that can be used to achieve this is a cinematic insert shot of a smartphone on a table displaying a text message. Dramatic low lighting, shallow depth of field, suspenseful cinematic movie still. Now, it's worthy to note here that a great movie is not about these random shots. It's about strategic shot selection to control emotion and the storytelling. All these shots are there, but it's not just to be putting them in your scenes. It's how strategic you are to use them, and that is going to depend heavily on your creativity. For you who is a beginner, you may just start out with the basic shots, the establishing shots. Then you do a master shot or a medium shot with your characters in the scene, and then you will now start getting the close-up or the extreme close-up or the over the shoulder. Basic. Then as you get better, as you begin to get better, because when you are getting better, you're going to be developing yourself. You're going to be watching other people's movie, and as you watch this movie, you begin to pick some certain things that you will now be, okay, see this shot here. What kind of shot is this? You go and look for it, and then you feel like, okay, this is where it was used. So you want to try it out in your project. It's not just to use shots. It's to be strategic with how you use those shots. Now, but a simple dialogue or a simple conversation scene can actually be shot with an establishing shot, a master shot, the medium shot, over the shoulder shot, close-up shot, and probably an insert shot. Okay, sometimes you may not need an insert shot. In most of my dialogue scenes, I don't use insert shots. Okay, now this is how filmmakers create visual storytelling rhythm. This is when people watch your movie and then they feel like, wow, this is good. But this list is not exhaustive. There are lots of other shots, but I will reserve them for when I make an advancement of this particular training, or I could do an advance much later. We have tracking shots, there is the dolly shot, there is the pushing shot, there is the Dutch angle shot, there is the POV shot, the crane shot, there's the God's eye view. There are a lot of shots, but these ones I just mentioned are the basic one that you as a beginner need to learn, need to know, and need to know when to use and how to use it. I believe that this should be very much helpful to you. After watching this, watch the video on framing and composition before you make your next video, or before you make your next scene, or create your next scene image, and you realize that it's going to be a lot more better. You see the improvement. Once again, cheers.